Welcome to another episode of Ballin with Roy and Edwyn. I am Roy S. Johnson, and this is my son, Edwyn, and we are here once again to just digest and talk about sports and life and sports from an intergenerational perspective. How you doing today, Edwyn? How's your day going? You excited about what we witnessed, we're going to talk about, and what we're going to see in this coming weekend?
Yeah, I'm very excited. First of all, I'm good. I had a great day. How was your day, Daddy?
My day was great. We're all fighting a little weather here, but I hope everybody stays safe and that there's no major damage. Yeah, I just wanted to back up a little bit because maybe for people joining us the first time, they don't know that my background, I'm a journalist, and for many, many years, I covered sports. I covered pretty much every major sport for several decades for Sports Illustrated, for the New York Times. And during all those times, you were growing up. You were growing up with a dad who was traveling the country, who was often bringing stuff home from games. What was it like for you, and did my job help to nurture your love for sports and your knowledge of sports? And what was it like for you to be in that household as I was traveling, and your mom was a big sports fan too, especially football?
Well, I was aware of it. Now, I wasn't a sports fan when I was really young, but I was very much aware of what you did, and I did think it was cool, especially seeing you on TV. I think that was the most amazing things I ever saw in my life, was seeing my father on television. And what it did to nurture me for my love for sports, it came in time. Again, I would say around sixth grade, that's when I started. Actually, that's a lie. Not even sixth grade, fifth grade. That's when I first started to like basketball. It started there. Later on in middle school, I started watching football. I started playing football in eighth grade, so it started there. Then in high school, I think that's when it really just exceeded even more, and it got to a whole nother level. And by that point in time, from there through college up until now, that's when my love was just there again for football, basketball. I stopped watching baseball, probably right after I stopped playing, which was around middle school. I did start to really like boxing, though, actually in college, though, after I had worked. I did an internship for a sports company in Birmingham, as you know. That's where I got my love for boxing. Again, just watching Deontay Wilder. And then I started, I had love for, of course, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. I like watching Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao. So it was just...
What people are going to learn, too, is despite our age difference, your level of knowledge of sports is far exceeding mine now. So it's a great conversation, great debate, giving some perspective on things that are happening now versus things that happened back in the day. And when you talk about it, bring a little tear to my eye, talking about what it was like to see me on ESPN and other things. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the Final Four. We have our two national champions, Kansas and South Carolina. But I want to start with the women. I want to start with Dawn Staley, really wanting to congratulate her for becoming the first African-American coach to win 2 Division I basketball titles. She is really building on a legacy of Black female coaches that now is very successful, very long. And one of the things she did when she was cutting down the net, she talked about how when Carolyn Peck won the first title and gave her a piece of the net, she said, "I'm only giving you this because you got to pay it forward." And she's done that, and she's talked about how she's going to give pieces of that net to Black coaches, Black female coaches all across the nation. So tell me your sense of Dawn Staley. And it's great because you're growing up in an era now where females are closer to reaching parity, both on the sideline and in the game. That was 1975 when Title IX was first enacted, which originally was just designed to prevent schools from having discriminatory practices based on sex or gender. It was also later included sports in that, and really began to change the game that's now still evolving and resulting where you probably grew up thinking it was no big deal to see female sports teams, to see women playing basketball, playing other sports, and seeing female coaches almost getting the same sort of light as male coaches.
Well, yeah, I would say it wasn't a big deal, but at the same time, I knew that was not always the case. And yes, I'm very big, just like we are big on Black coaches. I'm big on women having opportunities as coaches and to be successful, succeeding at the level too. So again, it was a bittersweet moment though, because again, they beat my UConn Huskies. They beat my Lady Huskies first of all.
And
But
your
again,
Huskies beat my Cardinals. So talk
yeah,
about. I wish they put on a better show against South Carolina. So, but yeah, they took my heart out with my Cardinal. But I congratulate.
that's nothing new. That's nothing new though.
Right.
That's been year on year. I mean, again, 11. They have 11 championships. 11. So I mean, that's nothing new. I think we go.
You don't have to twist the knife. You don't have to twist the knife. So.
Yeah. But no, I was very happy for her again to see that she is, and again, she's 40 something years old. She's a little bit of a younger coach. She definitely brings a lot of excitement. Again, played in the WNBA. Sorry, and again, where did she go to school? I forgot where she went to school, but
that's a good question. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, I forgot, but again, just her coaching style, she gives a lot of energy to these women, and again, this is the new women's dynasty. This is the new dynasty in women's college basketball. As you can see, again, you can say in a sense she overthrew UConn too with that. The great Gina Orion, threw him over. And again, being able to, be in a place where, let's say within the next 5 years, no, not even 5, let's say 5 to 10 years, she gets maybe another 2 more at that too. But this is the beginning of the new dynasty in women's basketball. And again, I was very big on Pat Summitt. First of all, she was a great coach. I mean, she was the type of coach I feel like she could coach any sport, including football, men's basketball. But again, this woman right here, she is about to set a new dynasty, and within the next 5 to 10 years, who knows, probably might have 5 championships.
I love what you said about Pat Summitt, because great coaches are typically great leaders. They know how to get the most out of people, and when you know how to do that, you can do it in any arena. You can do it in business, you can do it in another sport, and so certainly Dawn Staley is moving into that level of someone who is being recognized as a great leader and a shaper of young lives. And when she was taking down the net, I mentioned this, that she said, "I've been thinking some of our black male coaches, they don't get opportunity. So I'm also going to take it a step further. Some of our black journalists don't get an opportunity to elevate. So we're going to try to cut this net up, give them a piece of it, and just hope it will be something that they can utilize to advance in the area that their heart desires in their field." The fact that she talked about giving it to black journalists, black sports journalists, you may or may not know this, but I was one of the founders of the National Association of Black Journalists Sports Task Force back when there were very few African-American sports journalists. So that really warmed my heart to hear Dawn say that. So let's talk about Kansas. I got to be honest. I didn't follow Kansas much this year. Didn't know much about them. The one thing I did know is that their star has the best name in the game. Remy Martin. Remy Martin is the star.
One of them, yeah.
But I was happy for him. Of course, I was rooting for Hubert Davis, rooting for him to become the 5th black coach to win a Division I NCAA title. It was a good game. Kansas pulled it out at the end. That's a great picture of Hubert Davis as a player at North Carolina and currently as a coach. But what is your take on Kansas? Does this place them back up there with the best programs of all time? Not that they really fell out, but look at Bill Self. Right now, he has got to be almost considered for that Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches, where you put the top 4 coaches on the mountain. His face might have to be one of them that's close to being up there.
I wouldn't go too far just yet off of one national championship. That's not to take away of him as a good coach or maybe even a great coach if you want to take it there. Don't get me wrong. And again, you want to talk about the program and the records that he set to being up there also. Now, when it's all said and done for the program, the school, you can talk about that. Because a Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches, though, there's a long list that he has to wait in. Because again, Coach K, it would put an end to his career, losing to North Carolina, again, to the rivalry, one of the best rivalries in all of college sports. Him, Roy Williams, who was in attendance for the last couple of games, both of his former teams were going at it. Remember, after he left as an assistant for North Carolina under Dean Smith, he was the head coach at Kansas for a couple of years. And again, he went to a Final Four. I know he went to not even the Final Four, the national championship in 2003 where they lost to Carmelo and Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
But on both of his teams they won. But I mean that's a long list. And again, I would say he's a good coach. I'm not gonna say great yet, but Mount Rushmore, I don't know about that. Now again, for Hubert Davis, he did a great job this year taking over after 8 years as an assistant under Roy Williams again. And again, this is his alma mater too, as you can see in that great picture, which I said that was me. I sent it to you, by the way. I found that. Love that picture. But and this is only the beginning for him. For what he's going to do, it is always the beginning. For the energy that he had going into the first half of that interview, what he's able to do with these young men, how much he cares about them, how much it warmed his heart. You can see the emotions in so many different, even the interview right after they lost too. It's just so much emotions. He's going to be able to really bring them back to the top. Not to say that they really fell off the last couple of years, because they did win a national championship not too long ago also. But just the style, the coach that he is, a little bit younger, in his early 50s. Again, look at his resume in the Final Four that he played in too, where he lost to, I think it was either Duke or Kansas, but he lost in the Final Four in 91 when Duke ended up beating UNLV after they won the previous year too. But no, he's really going to, I think he's going to have a similar impact that Deion has at Jackson State, honestly.
Okay. All right. So a couple of points before we move on to the next subject. One, Dawn Staley went to the University of Virginia. That is where she played. And this is Bill Self's second national title, not his first. So, but congratulations to both of them, to all 4 teams who made this Final Four. The games were exciting. Congratulations to the coaches and the players. And now we'll move on to Colin Kaepernick. I mean, we've been talking about him for so long, but now just recently, we got to see him. We got to see him throw the ball. We got to see him make moves. He participated in some drills at the University of Michigan for Jim Harbaugh, who was his coach at San Francisco, as you reminded me of before the show. He did a pro day there, right? So that's really the first time we've seen him out in public. But I just wonder, why didn't he do this a long time ago? To me, it's almost too late. I mean, and I don't think it has anything to do now with the protests. Maybe he can stand there and he looked good, and there were some pro scouts there. Gosh, I just wish he had done this a year ago, 2 years ago, and given himself a better shot at signing with the team. What do you think?
Well, he did do it 2 years ago. I think you forgot about the trial he had 2 years ago in Atlanta. Now, he sabotaged himself because he wanted to do it on his own terms. And it seemed to me like, okay, I think everybody knew, including himself, he was not going to make a team off of that because of the way he went about it. It's no secret. We've seen him throw the football. The man, since he's left the NFL, practices, works out 5 days a week. We have seen him throw the football. This is nothing new. The ability is still there. Being in shape is still there. But however, being in shape and then being in football shape are two different things. Because again, he is getting older, obviously. That's not a secret. But ability to throw the football, be able to run, it's clearly still there. That's never been a doubt in most people's minds. But the problem is, my thing is, we are talking again, as you said, we've been talking about him for a long time. That's just it. At this point, for me, if we are not talking about him being signed to a team, not just a trial, but being signed to a team, there's nothing to talk about anymore. Because again, we can sit here and talk about he deserves a chance to be in the NFL. That's true. We've said this many times. And we could talk about what players, what teams he could be signed to as a backup, possibly a starter. Because again, I don't think you're necessarily at this point going to come off and restart and you've been gone for this point in time. I think there are going to be guys who are still better than you for the simple fact that years and years have gone by, as opposed to 3 years, 4 years, you haven't played. No, more time has gone by. But if we are not talking about him signing to a team, there's nothing to talk about because we are talking about the same thing. That's why some of these coaches that are saying he needs to be signed, he should be in the NFL, like Pete Carroll. So why don't you sign him then?
Right. If you think it, put his name on a piece of paper. Let's put up or shut up. That's it. This is the last time we're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick.
So do I think Jim Harbaugh, let's just say, because again, Jim Harbaugh is not leaving Michigan anytime soon. They just gave him the extension, another extension. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Do I believe if Jim Harbaugh was in the NFL, he would sign him? Yes, I do.
You think his brother will sign him as a backup to Lamar? What do you think about that? I know that's the team.
When is he gonna? But my thing is that though, when is he gonna do that? Is this gonna happen next week? When are you going to do that? Because again, the years have gone by. The only thing is, as I reminded you, Jim Harbaugh coached them with the 49ers when they went to the Super Bowl. They lost in the NFC Championship to Seattle when they won the Super Bowl again. And I don't know why Jim, and I think part of the reason we forget, I don't know why he didn't say anything in the last couple of years, really. And if he did, maybe I didn't hear about it, but I don't understand now you want him to do this. But I don't remember you speaking up for the last couple of years, not to take anything away from either one of the Harbaughs or Jim, them as men, as coaches. But now you want to do something with the man. Unless I missed something the last couple of years. I don't remember hearing anything.
I don't think you missed anything. And looking back, and this sort of takes it off the field a little bit. You know, we are in such a crazy place in this country. Remember how divisive his actions were, and all he did was take a knee, it created a real problem for the NFL. It created a lot of pushback, and I think that they were probably all muzzled. I think for years, nobody could say anything, owners, coaches, so they couldn't say anything unless they risked alienating a big part of their fan base. And then, of course, the murder of George Floyd happened. There was a national racial reckoning. Many things have evolved since then. We recently had the lawsuit by Brian Flores, which exposed more of the discriminatory practices in the NFL. So I think the NFL has finally sort of pulled back its layers. It has uncovered all of the sort of secrets that have been out there that have been criticized by people like Tony Dungy and others. So now it's time to just put up or shut up. So I think more people can speak out now than they could have a couple of years ago, because there's nothing you can say now. There's nothing else you can say. Clearly, this league has been discriminatory against Black coaches. Clearly, there was discrimination against Colin Kaepernick. Can he play or not? If he can play, give him a shot. Otherwise, let it go and let him move on to whatever he's going to do next in life.
Yeah,
there is a documentary.
Because even, sorry to cut you off, but again, even too, we remember all the criticism that Colin Kaepernick and other players who did kneel got from a bunch of people, whether it was former coaches, other players, the list goes on. Mm-hmm. You know, there was always criticism for that. Some people did not either understand or didn't care. Right. So, but either way, what he was doing, again, it represents what's going on in this country, which again, I know you brought up some of the things that I'm going to talk about later on when we move on to another topic. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So from Colin, let's go to, and I know they may not be your favorite team, but man, is there a team that people are talking about more than the Los Angeles Lakers? They've got a series now on Winning Time, which is sort of showcasing that period when, the Bird Magic era, when I covered a lot of that period. So it's interesting for me to watch it, having experienced that. But right now, the Lakers have missed the playoffs. LeBron missed the playoffs for only the second time in his career. No, the fourth time, I believe, in his career. And so they've been called the biggest failure in NBA history. That's pretty strong stuff. But man, with the talent on that team, the best player of his era, one of the most talented in Anthony Davis, you bring in Russell Westbrook, which now looks like it was a major mistake. What went wrong, and what do you do now?
I mean, where do I start with what went wrong? Because it's not right? one player nor one coach. It's not just on Frank Vogel, and it's not a secret. I think we all know he's going to get fired.
That's what Magic said. Magic said that this week.
Magic said that. Yeah, right. We all know that. And does he deserve to? No. But again, with this a bad season, because again, you're going to continue to always going to get criticized for the next even more 75 years on the fact that, okay, they won a championship. Obviously, they won in the bubble. Okay, whatever the case may be. And again, they've had some similar personnel, some guy. But again, you could have signed DeMar DeRozan and the deal was set. LeBron wanted Russell Westbrook. Now, DeRozan and Russ are both from LA. So they both came home. And me personally, I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. He goes 100 miles per hour.
but he seemed to be just the wrong pick for clearly now in retrospect it was the wrong pick for the Lakers. And Magic also criticized LeBron for that trade. He said LeBron put pressure on the team to take Westbrook instead of DeRozan, and that's just blown up in his face. I mean, in Magic, he can criticize, but when you get to be the superstar, you play a little GM yourself. So I think LeBron is seeing that you may think something's going to work, but until you put the pieces together, you really don't know. We also heard some interesting criticism this week from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I'll start at the end because he came out later and said, initially he said he was disappointed in some of the things LeBron had done, that they were beneath him. One of which was doing a dance that has pretty much been frowned upon by the NBA after a big game or after a big basket, and just talked about how he was a little confused about some of the things that were going on in terms of the vaccine. But then Kareem later apologized. He has offered to sit down with LeBron, said he has total respect for LeBron. But I mean, everybody was taking their shots at the Lakers this week. You mentioned Frank Vogel. Everybody says he's going to get fired. I read a story where, looking back, where they didn't want to invest in Ty Lue, the coach they were bringing, and he was at Cleveland and he was able to be hired. He's now at the Clippers. That they should have done that move instead, but they didn't want to sign him to a long-term deal. They only wanted to sign him for as long as LeBron's contract was. So this is a franchise, like most of them, has to start at the top. Have to really look at the people making the decisions, and because now they are really the most embarrassing team in the NBA at a time when this light is shining bright on them. So they've got a lot of work to do. Any last words about the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, trying to do this time. Like I said, in terms of LeBron and Kareem, Magic said it's not a big deal. The reason why is because they both have love and respect for each other. Kareem has respect for LeBron as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a basketball player, as one of the greatest of all time. And when LeBron passes him next year for scoring, he's going to be front and center to congratulate him. Everything LeBron has done, speaking up for social justice, open up this school. He has respect for him. LeBron has respect for him, and has always had inspiration for him too, with what he did with Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali. So there's going to be respect. So it was a minor thing. Kareem apologized. They're going to be able to sit down. Magic wanted him to sit down. Carmelo wanted to sit down. So that's going to happen, and then they're just going to move on.
We shall see. So let's go on to a story that, again, I'm close to, talking about Tiger Woods. We are truly witnessing a miracle this week with his return to the Masters. When you know his history, you know that he is the greatest player of our era, would unquestionably be the greatest player ever had he not been sidelined by injuries and some of his own personal weaknesses. But in terms of injuries, I mean, this man has had 4 knee operations, 5 back operations. He had a terrible time with opioids and painkillers. And then the car accident in February of 2021, when pretty much everybody thought it would end his career because it shattered his leg. We found out later that they almost had to amputate the leg. I wrote in February of, not long after that having known him as long as I have, I met him before he went to Stanford when Earl Woods called my office, me being a Stanford alum, saying that his son was considering going to Stanford and would I mind talking with him. So that's when I first met him over a telephone call and ended up chronicling his career, both as the golf editor at Sports Illustrated and just as a golf fan through those years, and saw the peak years and stayed in touch with Earl Woods until he passed, did a cover story on Tiger for Fortune magazine. So to me, this is like a miracle that this guy is coming back and is a true testament to not just resiliency. And the reason I wrote that I wouldn't be surprised he was going to come back, because I just know that if there was any human way that physically he could get out there and do it, he would do it. Now, I was thinking about the Champions Tour, right? When he would turn 50 4 years from now and get on that tour, because that tour allows carts for everything but its major championships and its pro-am. So I never thought I would see him walk 18 holes in a professional tournament, let alone the Masters. But here we are. And so what is your perspective on Tiger and what he's doing, not just now, but in his career?
To me, Tiger is one of the top 10 greatest athletes of all time. To me, Tiger is the reason a lot of black men, or black people, women, men, children pick up golf clubs. I remember, again, when you were covering, again, in your career, you talked about him a lot. I remember in your office in our house, you had a picture up, or you had several pictures up of him. I knew you met him. I knew you know him. You had your relationship with him, etc. And again, that was one of the things that I love that got me into sports too as well also. But again, for him to come off of this injury, because I think we thought when we first saw that last year, the accident, I think we thought the worst.
Well, hey, making sure he was alive, right?
Yeah.
Right. But go ahead, yeah.
Well, again, for him to shatter your leg, you're walking 18 holes, because again, we thought his career was over. We thought that. I thought that, and I hate to think negative, but I thought that. And for him to just do that too, first of all, again, his love for the game never left. That's one. I mean, even when you saw him playing with his son, you can still see his love was there. But for him to get back into this tournament and to talk about that, he believes he can win it though. And he really believes that. That's the thing. He's not lying about that. He truly believes that.
And that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, great athletes always think they're going to win. They always believe that they're going to hit the next shot. If they didn't, they wouldn't be out there. If he didn't think he could win, I don't think he would have put in the effort, and I'm sure endured pain beyond anything we can imagine just to get out there and perform. I don't think he would just do it to make an appearance. So, I chuckled when he said he thinks he can win. It's like, of course he thinks he can win. That's what makes great athletes so great. Tom Brady thinks he's going to win the Super Bowl every year. Michael Jordan thought he was going to win the NBA title every year. Bird, Magic, the great ones always believe they're going to win. They don't always have to overcome such odds just to perform, but he's doing both. We're witnessing history on a lot of different sports, from Don Staley to Tiger Woods to Hubert Davis just starting history, Colin Kaepernick, what he did off the field, and what he hopes to try to do again on the field. Obviously, LeBron, one of the greatest of all times. I don't know if this is one of the greatest eras of sports, and we can talk about that on another episode. But man, there's a lot of great stuff going on right now. Really topped for me right now by the return of Tiger Woods from a devastating injury on golf's best stage at Augusta for the Masters. So great show, great week, a lot of great stuff to talk about. I appreciate you spending the time with your dad, sharing a little bit of that. I want to just thank everybody for joining us and see you again on the next episode. And Edwin, anything else to close us out?
Yeah, right now I'm watching Knicks and Brooklyn Nets right now. It's a 5-point game, 20-15.
Okay, all right. And rooting for?
If I need to say it, the Knicks.
Okay, right. Of course you don't need to say it. All right, folks. Until next time, keep balling. We'll see you again soon.